Okay, I will take you through a walkthrough on how to build this dashboard. It's fairly easy. So I'm going to just click into that, and you can already see we have some coloring going on. The views, if you go to view, you can see it's coming from that. And the reason I chose this is because I just like the colors in here, but you can always just change the background, canvas background, and just make sure it's black. And then there you go. So the first thing I kind of want to make sure I do is use my main metric that I'm concerned about, and that's that absenteeism. So you see I'm going over to that first table and grabbing it. I want to turn that into a different visual. So I just click the visuals here, and I just want this to be a number, and I also want to take this and turn it into an average. So I get that 6.92. Now we're going to definitely have to change the size of everything, but I kind of like that I just kind of build things this way where I got the top. I know my title is going to go here, so I'm going to leave a little bit of space for that. And I know I have 6.92, and then I know under that I want some of my pie charts or donut charts. So what I'm going to do is going to get education, and I am going to grab that and I'm going to put it here. And then from education, I am going to, they have the sum of education. I can turn that into a pie chart or a donut chart. And I just, for the legend, I drop education over it again. I come over and I turn that into a count. I am not concerned about the titles at the moment. So either you can choose to add go into the detailed labels here, and you can choose to make sure all details are possible. And I believe it's in visual. I go to slices, and then I go to spacing, and then I can alter the radius here. So I kind of get that to a kind of a look that I like. And I know now that I need a lot more space in this canvas. So I click into the black canvas, I go over, I go to settings, I go to custom. I'm going to make this quite big, so maybe I'll go 1920 for length, and I'll go 18 for our width. I can literally leave a little space here and maybe put 4 there so we can have them. Then I can just make sure the spacing is correct, so I can just control and move this over, and you can see it encapsulates all of them. If you miss any, just go back and click them, and I just want to move that here. I'll worry about the colors and the background, but now I can just easily use that as a placeholder, and I can just go in and change all the ones that I want. And we do a count. And let's do one more. We can do a drinker, 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 drinker. So you can play around with these to get them to what you want. Obviously, this color is not going to be good, so we can come back and play around with that because I think it sticks out too much in the dashboard. But this will give you those categories that you're looking for. So now that I have those pie charts out, I can start building my line charts. So I can just click a line chart here, open it up. I kind of want to get it to a decent size, a little bit longer, and then I just copy it. And now we have these 2 line charts. I'm going to click both of them, move them over slightly. Now we can get, I know for my y-axis it's going to be absenteeism in hours, but first I'll get the month. I don't remember which one I did first, month. And then I take the month of the absence and I just drop that on my x-axis. And then for this one, I'm going to get day of week, so I can drop that on the x-axis there. Now I know both of these take the absenteeism in hours, so I can go here and I can pull in absenteeism in hours over the y-axis, and I can pull absenteeism in hours over the y-axis here also. And now you can see we get these 2 charts. So this is month of the absence and this is day of week. What we want to do is highlight both of these and we want to go over. We want to click into our markers and click on. Once we have that, we go down and you can see we can alter the size of the markers. So I want those to be like fairly prominent. And we also want to deal with the colors where we click into colors and we add those as white. So you can already see this coming together a bit. Now I want to make space for my other visuals. So once I get that visual going, I want to make sure we add labels to those before we move on. So let's go to click on both, go to the paintbrush and click on labels. That gives us a little bit more information. We can play with the sizing later. Next, what I want to do is get a table. So I will get the absences, so reasons for absence here. And I just get all of the, I think the reasons are in, let's here also in our main table. And you can see them being populated here. And I can just pull all those down. And you can see we get all of the reasons, but we only need one. We don't need this one. So once I get that reason, we have a table that we can deal with. And because this is at the row level, we can just click this and we can count the number of reasons. So I have this and now I want to bring this in. I just bring this in as a count. And as you can see here, it's going to be quite spaced out. So what I am going to do is find where reasons end. And you can always zoom. So I'm going to go to view, go to fit to width, and then I'm going to zoom in here and see if I can change this a bit. So you can see what I can do is make that skinnier that way. And I can also click the caret here to make sure it's descending. And also I want this to definitely have some kind of style to it. So what we can do, we go to not the background, but we want to make sure that we can deal with the values. And then we can go to cell elements. And now we have the cell elements. We go over to on. And now what I can do is for the background color, I can use a gradient. So I go to the rules. I click gradient. It gives me this gradient. It goes from lowest value, which I want to be like almost a black, and this value. And we can always play around with those colors, but you can see I chose the wrong part. We actually want the other one to do that. So let's Control Z that. All right. We go to cell elements now and we choose count of reasons. Then we turn it on. And now you can see that gradient is there, but I want this to be black. So I go over and click black. And now we kind of get a little bit better look than what we had before. So we're starting to see this come together. Next, what I want to do is I'm kind of okay with bringing in my smart narrative. So I'm going to go over to smart narrative. And you can see it generates based on what's on the screen here. I'll bring this in so it's like around here. And I'm going to zoom back out. So I go to fit to page. And now we can see what's going on a little bit better. So now let's get a scatter plot. So I am going to go over, click on a scatter plot. I am going to pull this in over here. We can worry about the spacing a little bit later. And I believe I chose the average. Let's see. I think we use work hours. But let me just show you. So we can use workload as one. When you click into that, it's summarize. You want to click into this and click do not summarize. So then you see it gives you all those values. And then you can choose something else, right? We can choose, we can even choose absentee and hours. So we can choose that for our Y. And I'm going to leave that for now. I think what we can do is play around with that until we get what we need. Then what I did is I went over here and went over the trend line, clicked on yes, and there you see we have a trend line there. So we can always already kind of see what we're pulling together here. So I remember it was here was transportation expense on the bottom. Let's see. Transportation expense on the bottom here for Y. So I'm just going to pull that over and click average. And now you can kind of see we have that visual that we're looking for. So now all we got to do is start adding some of the controls and the colors that we need these things to be, and also kind of deal with some of the fonts. Okay, so now that we kind of have somewhat of a structure that we want, we can start adding our pillars. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ensure that these don't have a background. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go and click into that. Then I can go into general effects background. I'm going to turn that background off. Then I am going to get a shape. So I go to insert, I go to shape, I get a rectangle. And then I want this rectangle to probably start around here and make sure that it covers everything. And I don't want it to be this color. I want it to be a lighter purple. So I'm going to go over. I'll go to style. And then we see we have this color here. And I believe we should have that purple that we played around with, but we don't. So what I'll do is I'll get that dark purple again. So let's see, I can go to more colors. And then I just copy and paste that dark color. This is literally the first hex color that came up on Google. And as you can see there, it kind of pops in. So I'm going to leave that one there and we'll have that color. And now I'll play around with the transparency. So, and then what I'm going to do is push that to the back. So now that I have that somewhat transparent, I'm going to go over to our format and then I'm going to say send to the back. And that seems to stick out. So we click into style, go over to border, and I'm going to take that off. Actually, I might turn that on and turn that into a really dark gray just to see if it pops a little bit on that. So I'm going to pick shadow and make sure it's white so then you can see it stick out that way. And then I know I want to add a little bit more space into this. I can kind of look at the sizing of things now and say, okay, this is kind of what things need to be in terms of a size. And now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, that background, and then we can pull that down here. And it should allow us to move it to the back. And let's see, we probably go and do a different color here. Let's try this color. So we can go over, we can go to click on style, click on color, more colors, and then I'm going to try this color. which is like a more of a bluish. And then I am going to pull the transparency down, and I think that looks a little bit better now. Now I'm going to just eliminate that one, copy this one, and bring that in. And I'm going to make it slightly bigger. And I probably need to make sure I adjust the sizing here. So I'm going to go over to Format, send backwards. And remember, we don't need these, the background. So I'm going to click into both of those. Go over to our effects. Go to background, we click off, and I can adjust the size of these by going, because I have these both, going to properties, and I'm going to turn that height into, let's say 340, and that looks a little bit better. And let's get the width the same, so let's just say 685, and we'll deal with we'll deal with how it looks in terms of these pillars in a second. So let's copy one more and bring it down. We kind of want to keep it the same size. So we already have an indication of how big things should be. So we definitely going to have to shrink those down. And we got to make sure we have enough space here to add a title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control, and I'm going to drag my cursor all the way down here, and you can see it will capture some of the visuals there. And I'm going to just, once I capture all those visuals, I'm going to bring this down a little bit so we have more spacing. Then I am just going to start playing around with the sizes here. But let's give our formatting to go all the way backwards to the back. And then what we're going to do is start erasing that background. We can always make these bigger. And then we need to have one more of these. So we copy and paste. We go up here. And this is going to be the skinniest one, because we just need to encapsulate a little bit of this. And then we send the formatting to the back. And now we kind of have what we're going to look at. And let's just get a little bit more space here. Let's definitely make these smaller, because we still need to fit our metrics there. So I'm going to click on all three of those. I'm going to click into those. I'm going to go over to General, Properties, and then you see we can almost play around with the size. I'm going to play around and get one to a smaller size here, maybe like, let's say about this size. And then this will give me the properties here that I need. So I want to make 247 by 310. So I'm going to click all of them. But you can see there are all different levels. We make sure that the properties. Yep. So let's get them all on the same position. So we click all of them. We choose position. And we say vertical. Let's get them, let's see what, 538. And now they're all on the same level. And then we just need to move them over slightly. And now we have that the way we want. So we have them all on the same vertical. We'll have to deal with the titles. So I'm going to get rid of the titles on each one of these. So click into all of those. And let's get rid of the title. So just go to off. And now they're all on the same level. Let's move this one over a little bit. And this one over a little bit. So we have that ID there. I'm going to click it into it. And actually, it'd probably be easier just to duplicate these two. So I'm going to click 692. And one more. And we're going to have them spaced like that. So then we have those metrics there. These are going to be smaller, so I'm going to change the font size to the data label. We want to use Sugoi Bold, and I'm going to bring these down to a smaller style for the callout value. So I'm clicking into Visual, then going to Sugoi Bold, and bringing that values down. That looks good. And we want to make sure this is Sugoi Bold. So we click into that, we go to Font, we go to Sugoi Bold. I'm actually going to take this off and then bring that narrative in there again so it'll have everything. So I'm going to go to Narrative, and now it'll be fuller with a little bit more information. Now let's eliminate the effects, and we want to get rid of the background. So it runs in that. We want our background on these to be black. So we go over and click over to callout value, and we choose black. Choose this black. Okay. So now we have those that we're looking for. I am going to make both of these slightly taller by lifting them up. We can put a divider there, which is going to be white. So insert, and we go to shape, we go to line. And then once we have that line, you can see here, I'm going to make it extra skinny. And it's here. Shape, we go to style, we go to white for our color. And then for our border, we also go to white. And rotation, we choose 90. 90. So then it is horizontal. I'm going to pull it in here. So let's click on all of these because I want to bring these down to the middle. So I'm just clicking on all these visuals and just bringing them slightly down. So let's add a control for our season. So we're just going to go over to seasons and click seasons. Then we're going to turn this into a filter. We just bring that in here and make it fit. And this will allow us to control the information based on the season. Next, let's get our titles. So let's go and insert, go to text box. And now we can go to Sugoi Bold. And I'm going to make this big. And I'm going to write HR Analytics. Absenteeism. And then I am just going to pull this over the top here. Might be slightly big. But then we just get rid of the background by clicking, go over to effects. Then we just get rid of the background. I'm going to copy and paste this again. And I'm going to bring this here, but I'm going to make it much smaller. Let's get it smaller, a little bit bigger than that. Let's say 32, maybe 28. There we go. And this is going to be called Employee and Categories. Be called Time and Trends. We'll call this our Reasons and Comparisons. Okay. Okay, so now we can start bringing in those icons. So I am going to go to flat icon, and you can just look for HR or something, whatever you want to look for, HR. You're going to get this icon here. I'm going to download it, and you can see what happens when I download it. I download it as a PNG. We get a free download. that downloads there. I'm going to go over to Online PNG Tools. Then I'm going to import that file, which is our download. And all I'm going to do is change the color from black to white. So you can see replace the color from black to white. And then I save as, download, download. And you're just going to be bringing those icons in. So once it gives a little second to download. Now you have that in. I am just going to go over. Now I have my dashboard. And I just insert that. So you go to insert, go to image, and there you go. So this, I won't go and download each one of those icons, but you can easily see how you can start bringing those icons in so you can make sure that you have a dashboard that has some icons in it. Now, I also, if we go back to our final, we can see a couple things are missing. So you can see that this dashboard is a little bit darker, and we can easily achieve that. And then we have this kind of gradient here. I'll show you how to add all that, and we should be done. So these icons, I'm not going to waste your time and just kind of add those, because you can see you just bring those in. And I am going to darken all of these with the highlighting them all, going over and going to general, and then we should be, maybe it's shape. I'll go into style, and then I'm going to just play with these a little bit so we get a little bit darker color, as you see here. So looks like maybe somewhere around 46 there, so you can see it got darker. And then let's get our gradient. First we want to go here, and let's get rid of the styling here. So I'm going to go over and highlight this table and go to style, and I'm going to put none. And you can see that eliminates all of that. We are going to do one more thing, is go over to DALL-E. Let's go over to DALL-E. And now you don't need to do this, but I just want a background. So I'm going to log into my DALL-E account. You can also just get a gradient background if you're looking for. But I'll show you how to do this. I'm just going to say, give me a dark purple to gradient background for PowerPoint. Now I'm just showing you how to do this. The color, very dark purple gradient for PowerPoint. And we can generate one. And I should have said background. Oh, I have background in there. This is going to run. And if we don't get the right one, but you can see you have to play around with this a little bit, but I do have some that I've done before. As you see here, you can, and I probably have one that I like. So this one is the one that I used probably. So I'm going to download that, as you see. It downloaded. Now I'm going back to my dashboard. And I am going to click into this. And I am going to click over to this section. I'm going to plot background area. And then I'm going to my downloads. You can see I have that dolly. And you can see it's there. Now I'm going to remove the background. It doesn't look like the exact one, but you can understand. We can download a background, and then I'm going to add, for the wallpaper, I'm going to add my background also. For wallpaper, I'm going to add browse, and I'm just going to add that dolly, and I'm going to go fill, and now you can kind of see how we went from this to a final, and this one's zoomed in, so let me zoom out. And there you go with the total package. So you can see we added our icons, and we added a little bit of a gradient. The gradient I downloaded is not the same. So if I go over to this one, you can see there is some differences here from the way I built it. We definitely would want to make it slightly darker and then maybe add a different gradient in the background, but they look pretty similar. So I just wanted to show you how you could build that dashboard, and I don't want to continually play around with it because it's going to eat up your time. So this is how you build a dashboard. I hope that helps.